the Supreme Court has restored constitutional powers, and the left is upset. Ketanji Brown Jackson is upset, and because they have gave power back to the president, back to the executive branch, and taking the power away from these activist judges around the country, these leftist activist judges. And again, people are upset. Leftists are upset. Democrats are upset. So we're going to talk about it. We're going to play this clip from Dr. Turley and hear his explanation of all this, which I think is great, and give you my reaction to that. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button. Share this out so we can get this important information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. There's a link to my Patreon. That's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. There's also a link to my Instagram and my X account, so follow me there as well. All right, so let's get right to this video. Here we go.
Hey gang, it's me, Dr. Steve, your back porch professor. I hope you're all having a wonderful weekend, but I can tell you most definitely who's not. And that's the auto-pen appointed Supreme Court Justice and legal illiterate Ketanji Jackson. She is having an absolute meltdown over the latest Supreme.
And she is constitutionally illiterate because her dissents has nothing to do with actually explaining, constitutionally why she disagrees with decisions. She just put out these things, like everything she does is about emotions and things like that, has absolutely no basis in the Constitution. And thank God, thank God we have these reasonable conservative justices.
Supreme Court decision that has yet again delivered Trump yet another massive win, this time allowing him to strip deportation protections from over 300,000 Venezuelan nationals. This isn't just about immigration, gang. This is about something far bigger that the legacy media is doing absolutely everything it can to hide from you. Now, if you're not familiar with this case, it centers on the Trump administration's attempt to terminate what's called TPS, or temporary protected status, for approximately 300,000 to 350,000 Venezuelan nationals living in the United States. The Biden administration had originally designated Venezuela for TPS back in March of 2021, and they extended it through October of 2026. But the Trump administration has been actively seeking to terminate all TPS designations, most particularly for this massive number of hundreds of thousands of Venezuelans. So, of course, that terminated.
And rightfully so, because when Trump been right on this, like, they have not been sending their best and brightest. They've been letting out people from their prisons and mental health facilities and sending them here to the United States. And and Joe Biden, when he was in office, was giving them handouts. Trump under temporary protective TPS status, and Trump, rightfully so, said no. This is a no-go. You can't come here illegally like that. You can't come here and claim asylum and get these handouts. No, it doesn't work like that. We can't feed the entire world. We can't support the entire world. And this is and the reason why we know it's not their best and brightest, because Venezuela don't want to take them back. They don't want to take them back. That's their own countrymen don't want them back. So what that tell you?
Nation was challenged in court, and of course, a U.S. district judge in San Francisco ruled twice against the administration, and the Supreme Court has once again had to intervene. And they have decisively once again ruled that Trump most definitely has the executive authority to terminate TPS and send back all 300,000 Venezuelan nationals.
Of course he does. Of course he has the right to do that, because it was written by the previous president. It didn't go through our Congress people didn't vote on it. The Senate didn't vote on it and approve it. And the president didn't sign anything. The president just came up with the protective status. So, of course, that means if the people voted for another president because we didn't like the previous president's policies, That president can come in and get rid of that, of course, because it didn't go through normal procedures here. This is, I mean, it's obvious. It's obvious here. Like, if a president can do something by executive decree, then another president can get rid of that executive decree. It's simple.
Which he is doing. So obviously, this is a huge victory for President Trump, but it's bigger than just another court triumph. Here's the bigger picture behind this latest decision that the legacy media desperately wants to hide from you. The Supreme Court is systematically restoring executive power exactly as the Constitution intended under Article 2. And the liberal judges are having complete meltdowns about it.
Yes,
Justice Jackson just wrote about what probably is the most unhinged dissent in Supreme Court history. I mean, there are a number of court analysts who are openly recognizing she's not even trying to persuade her fellow justices anymore. She doesn't even care about her fellow liberal justices, whether they agree with her dissents or not. Her audience is not her colleagues on the court. Her audience is not the legal community. Her audience is the rabid radical left of our nation. She is.
And Sotomayor even slapped her down with one of her dissents before because it made absolutely no sense. On her own liberal justice done that to her in the past. She is an activist judge, and I use that term lightly, judge, because it seems like she don't know the Constitution. Or either that, or she knows the Constitution and has a disdain for it.
Using her dissents to promote more radical left-wing activism in the nation. She is a bona fide Marxist revolutionary when all said and done. She is deliberately attempting to delegitimize the very court she sits on because orange man bad, right? Mm-hmm. But there's nothing she could do about it. Since Trump returned to office in January of 2025, the Supreme Court has ruled in his favor on case after case through their emergency docket. They've greenlighted mass firings of career bureaucrats. They've cleared the way for controversial deportations all across the country. They've said that the government can indeed withhold billions upon billions in foreign aid. They've allowed the discharge of transgender service members from the military. And, just weeks ago, the court actually allowed federal officers to conduct immigration stops in Los Angeles, specifically based on race and ethnicity. So in other words, yes, ICE officers most certainly can racially profile precisely because the objects of deportation are overwhelmingly members of a particular race. I mean, that's coming straight from the Supreme Court.
Yep.
That's something that would have been unthinkable mere months ago under previous administrations. Again,
right. The
court in effect is saying that if you don't like this, then you need to vote for a different president.
Facts. But this court, and that's exactly why we vote. Because according to them, we're a democracy, even though we're a constitutional republic. But according to them, isn't that what a democracy is? You vote for who you want to run the country, and who wins that election, policies go through. Isn't that why we have elections, right? According to Democrats, right? But when they lose, all hell breaks loose, and they want to try to legislate from the bench, which is not what this constitutional republic is about. And the Supreme Court justices are slapping them down, and rightfully so.
It is frankly relentless in their quest to restore constitutional rule over our nation. Article 2 of the Constitution vests the executive power, all of it, in the President of the United States. It is an awesome power, but it's limited to the president's tenure. The next president has the power to undo everything the previous president enacted.
Yep.
So it's an awesome power, but it's limited to the duration of the presidency. So that's what's so frankly bogus about this whole absurdity that Trump is a dictator. He's not grabbing power. He's exercising the very power that even the Supreme Court acknowledges is granted to him by Article 2 of the Constitution. For decades, Congress and the administrative state of unconstitutionally constrained executive authority. The court is simply returning that power back to the duly elected president and away from unelected bureaucrats.
Bureaucrats, yeah.
For decades, the administrative state operated as a fourth branch of government, making policy decisions that the Constitution specifically designates belongs to elected officials who are accountable to the voters. Trump's use of executive orders is not unprecedented. It is absolutely constitutional. And so what's so key to get here is that the Supreme Court isn't just ruling consistently in Trump's favor. That consistency derives from the fact that the court is restoring the separation of powers that the founders intended.
Mm-hmm.
When unelected bureaucrats can override presidential policy, when federal judges can issue nationwide injunctions to stop constitutional executive actions, when career officials can sabotage an elected president's agenda, that is not democracy.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Think about it. You voted for a president. President won. He goes to enact his policies, and a freaking district judge goes in and make a universal injunction to shut that policy down. That's not how this is supposed to work. That is not how this is supposed to work. And the Supreme Court is fixing that.
Administrative bureaucratic tyranny. And as a result of the Supreme Court's defense of the Constitution, we are getting exactly what we voted for. In many ways, really for the first time in our lives. Yeah. One of the reasons voters have been so frustrated over the years is that it didn't matter who we voted for. Their promised policies always got diluted by the administrative state. Bureaucrats, rather than ballots, ultimately decided domestic and international policies. Those days are over.
Thank
Trump,
God.
with the help of the conservatives on the Supreme Court, he has officially restored constitutional governance where the people finally get what we voted for. And so what does this mean? It means that the liberal meltdown that we're witnessing from Justice Otto Penn and her allies isn't about legal principle. It's about power.
Yep.
For decades, the left has used the courts and the bureaucracy to implement policies they couldn't win at the ballot box. Trump's restoration of Article 2 authority, backed by a Supreme Court that actually reads the Constitution, is ending that era once and for all. So what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, make sure to smack that bell and subscribe button for breaking news and analysis you're not going to hear anywhere.
Wow, thank you, Dr. Turley, for breaking that down. And I agree with everything every statement he made in this video. It's awesome. Thank God that we have, like I said, a conservative Supreme Court that are doing exactly what the Constitution says. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.